Well, the Veep stakes are on. Speculation continues to swirl over Donald Trump's possible picks for vice president on the Republican ticket, and the former president giving another hint in the battleground state of Michigan over the weekend.
Byron Donalds is an incredible guy. Incredible guy. And I noticed he happens to be on the list of potential vice presidents. Would anybody like to see him as a vice president? I noticed your name is very high on the list. That's good. You should be on the list.
Joining us now, that man right there, Congressman Byron Donalds from the great state of Florida. Congressman, thanks so much for joining the program.
Good morning.
Good to be with you guys. How you doing?
So it looks like the president is going to every single community, reeling black voters in, and you're on that list. Have you had any conversation with the president about being vice president?
Maybe not. I'm not gonna tell you guys that.
Oh, well played.
I'm gonna keep
well
that to
played.
myself. Look, I think President Trump's gonna make a great decision, but obviously it's his decision alone. I'm just gonna do my job, campaign for him, work hard for him, because the country needs him back as president. It's that simple. We'll see what happens by the time we get to the convention.
Yeah. So, are you being vetted? Have they asked you to give them up paperwork and stuff like that?
Oh, you guys don't stop with the questions.
Well, I'm just curious.
Maybe. That's your answer,
Byron,
maybe.
what is the plan if he does choose you or Marco Rubio, considering a president and a vice president are not supposed to be from the same state? Would you have to move? Would you have to give up your seat?
We've been down this road before. I think the last time was with Dick Cheney and George W. Bush. And so I think you would have to look at residency and figure out how you manage that. But, it's at that point, the question is, are you going to agree to join the president on the ticket and work hard through the next couple of months to win back the White House? I find that to be a tremendous honor. So when that decision has to be made, I'll make it accordingly and we'll move forward.
Okay.
Looking at what the president's doing, going into the black community, we know he's spoken in the South Bronx, then he spoke in Detroit. What kind of feedback are you getting? What kind of feedback is he getting? What do you find most intriguing of those unscripted moments?
Good question.
Well, I've had the pleasure of being in the South Bronx and then again in Detroit, and I will tell you, when you talk to the people who don't even have microphones, the people off to the side, these are regular Americans who live in these communities. They are fed up, they're disgusted with what they've seen, the inflation, the immigration, the lack of banking access. These are all policies that the Democrats have pushed on America, and it's not worked for Americans, and it's not worked for Black Americans, so they want to change. And I think you're starting to see this bubble up more and more. I mean, obviously, you have to execute this through the campaign and make sure that you turn those voters out. But I truly believe they're there. And I think you're going to see some very interesting shifts this November.
So, Byron, real quickly, because I was out there in the Bronx with you. I've never seen anything like that for a Republican. Never, ever. So I guess my question for someone like you that's from New York, you're a black man, obviously. You understand what our people in the community are saying about the Republican Party traditionally. Why is Donald Trump different than any Republican?
Because he's not a typical Republican. He's not scripted, and I think that's a good thing. He speaks directly from the heart and from the mind every single day. That is a good thing. And then people also now they remember him as being president. The country was actually in a great shape when he was president, and Joe Biden's been an absolute disaster. We all know that. And so, Black Americans, like every other American, is looking around saying, now, wait a minute. You had a guy who had the job. He's way better than the current guy with the job. Can we get him back? And now he's running. So that's why people are saying, why is this a hard choice? Donald Trump's the better president. Let's get him back in the White House.
Sure. And Congressman, later today, Donald Trump's going to be meeting with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and also the NRCC chief, Richard Hudson, about growing your majority in the House. And also, because if Donald Trump is elected, he needs a House to help him get stuff done.
Well, look, and this is important. I think that when the president was in D.C. last week, he obviously was talking about the campaign, but he was also talking about helping House members get reelected and also helping candidates out there trying to flip seats to come to Washington, D.C., as well as doing the same thing in the United States Senate. It demonstrates that President Trump's focus is on the party being unified so we can get the job done for the American people. I mean, look, we've seen enough from Afghanistan, the inflation, and everything since then. This is not working out for our country. He is committed to making sure that our party is unified and that we get the job done in 2025. The time for politics and talk is over. It's now the time for execution because the American people simply can't wait.
Thanks for answering 80% of our questions, Byron. You balked at the first two.
You're welcome.
You finished strong. Thank you very much.
Maybe not.
Best luck. If not, he's going to run for governor. You just watch. But he won't answer that question anyway.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.